Let's get started then. Start class. So today is day 15. This is the last week of class, and today we'll be learning about basically the last things that we need about Algebra 1, which is lines and linear graphs. So again, do you have any questions on the homework? Anything? This will be last week, so if you have any questions, please tell me right now so I can help you explain it. And if not, we can continue. Okay, are you guys done? Stay waiting for one more person to respond. Okay. Okay. Seems like everyone's done, so let's show responses. Okay, cool. That's fine, that's fine. If you didn't do the homework, remember, you should always try to do it so that we can get more practice, because with this course, it's like I teach things really quickly. So I think if you really if you want to review the subjects that we learn in class, you should do the homework and you should save them so that when you really need to understand some topics later on, you can look at the homework and review it. Okay, so again, this last week we went over how to draw linear graphs. So let's review on how to draw them. So here's a question. It is f of x equals 3x plus 2. I want you guys to draw this and to label 2 points. Oh. Yep, and also include the x and y intercept. So those will be your 2 points. Okay, are you guys done? Let me check a little bit. Remember to make sure you draw the table out so you guys can plot the points, and then afterwards you guys can draw a line straight through them. Okay. Okay, are you guys done? I think so. Okay. So let's show responses then. So we have this. Okay, this graph. Yeah. Okay. So let me go annotate, and yeah, whoever did this graph did everything correct basically. So again, what I taught you guys is that first you can do is that you can put x values, and then you can basically use them to graph the graph itself. So move this down. Our equation is f of x equals 3x plus 2. Oh, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so this is 3x plus 2. And now, because basically we can put in 0 for the x, and we get 2 for the y. And then the first point for the y-intercept we put right here. Now, to find the x-intercept, we can set basically the y to be 0. X plus 2, we subtract 2 on both sides. And yeah, this is how we get the x-intercept. We divide both sides by 3, we get x equals -2/3. And this is your x-intercept. So using those 2 points, this person drew a line straight through all those points, and this is the linear graph for f of x equals 3x plus 2. Okay, so again, not too hard, but if you need more practice, you can go back to the homework and you can do some of those questions. Let's move on. Let me clear this. So now, today we'll be learning about slope-intercept form and point-slope form. So one of the questions is, what is slope? This is very important because we'll be using slope a lot in Algebra 1. And honestly, I think it's really cool because using the method of drawing the table is sometimes slow, but now with slope, it's pretty quick and easy. So with slope, we can basically see that slope is a number that you multiply x in order to get how steep the line is. So you see, we have a basically graph right here, and you can see that slope is calculated by the delta y over delta x. Delta means change. So basically the change of y over the change of x. So can anyone tell me how high did we increase in the y value? Anyone? Yes, 3, yes. So basically the change in y, 3. Okay. And give me a second. Okay. So what about the change of x? Can anyone tell me the change of x? What is that? 2, yes. So this you have a question, Ian? Yes, it's 2. Okay. So the slope for this equation would be 3/2. And you can see the work on the right-hand side over here. This is the work. Basically, what you can also do is that you can take basically this point, and then you subtract it by this point, and you find the change in distance. Okay. Let me clear this. I'll give you guys a few minutes to jot down the notes. So does anyone know what y2 minus y1 means? Okay. No questions? Okay. So the people who just joined, here is the link to the panic. You guys can click on that so you guys can join the peer deck and yeah. Okay, cool. Does this make sense? Okay, so let's do some practice problems then. So I want you guys to find the slope between 2 points. And I think I forgot to put the peer deck for this one. So you guys can tell me in chat basically what you think the answer for question 1, 2, and 3 are. And we'll be loading them in, okay? So again, let me go back up. Let me change the color of this actually. So again, we have x1, y1, comma, and then x2. Oh, that's not x. X2, y2. So what I want you to do is basically substitute the values for each of these points and then put it into this equation. And afterwards, you get a number, and that is your slope. So that basically tells you how much you go up versus how much you go sideways. Okay, has everyone done at least the first question? Okay. Okay. I want you guys to load the answer for the first question in chat and press enter in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, Bowen says 0. Anyone else? Yes, no? Okay, Ian also says 0. Okay, cool. So let me explain the first question again. Seems like you guys understand this part pretty well. So basically we have 2 points, and we first take the y of the second point, which is 0, and then we take the y of the first point. We subtract that is 0 as well. Now we find the x of 0.2, which is 7, and now we subtract that by 1, and we get 0 over 6 or 0. So for the first equation, our slope is 0. So can anyone tell me if you have a slope of 0, what type of line would you draw? Would it be vertical or would it be horizontal? Yes, horizontal, correct. You can say I have like y equals 0x plus 1. This will basically graph or translate into just y equals 1. So if I graph this, this would be a graph. Okay, does that make sense? So remember, when you have a slope is 0, the graph is horizontal. Okay, so now let's see the second question. Load your answers in for the second question and answer in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, Bowen says 1/3. Anyone else? I think Ian, yeah, Ian also says 1/3. Anyone else? Okay, let's see if the answer is 1/3. So using our rule again, we would basically use this formula to solve slope again. So we take the y of the second point, which is 4. Now we take the y of the first point, which is 3. Okay, now afterwards we find the y of the x of the second point, which would be 5. And then now we find x of the first point. So that would be -2. Now we simplify this equation and we get 1/3. Okay, cool. Does that make sense? Now let's do the last question. So load your answers for the last question in chat and press enter in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 1/2, 1/2. Anyone else? Lori, anyone else? You guys want to answer? Okay, let's see if this one happened. So we have basically we start with the second point, and we have y of the second point, and that'll be 9. Now we check the y at the first point. We have 7. After that, we divide that by x at the first point minus x. So basically, this will get us, we get 2/4, and we can simplify this into 1/2. And this will be basically 1/2 x, and that will be our slope for the third question. So yeah, you guys got that right. Okay. So does it make sense? Okay, it shouldn't be too hard. It's just make sure that you always start with the second point and start with the y on top. Remember, it's basically in my math class, basically what we say is that we have a rise over run. And this will be very common in any class that you take. Rise over run just means slope. So rise is basically going vertical, run is going horizontal. Okay, completed my drawing, so let's move on then. So now let's learn about slope-intercept form. So now we know about slope, we can now use slope-intercept form to help us solve graphs faster than having to just do the tables. So here's the sketch of what slope-intercept form is basically about. So you kind of already seen this form because this is the easiest form to understand. And this is the most basic components that we have. So we have a y. This is basically our end result or how high it goes. And then mx, m stands for slope. So basically what we calculated in the previous slide, you will put for m. And then for B is the y-intercept. So say if I had like 0, comma 1, and my slope was -1/2. So we can draw the slope-intercept form as -1/2 x plus 1. And it will look something like this equation right here. So if you get a slope and if you get a y-intercept, you can easily create an equation. And this will be a linear equation that you guys can use to solve for other points. Okay, does that make sense? I think in practice, once you guys get used to this more and more, drawing linear equations from slope and points would be super easy and super quick. Okay, you have any question, Bowen? No? Okay, I think with just, I'll show you guys one problem and then you guys can do one as well. So here's the first problem that I'm going to do for you guys. Given the slope that is 2, so I know that slope is 2. Oh, let me put this in black. I know slope is 2, and y-intercept is 4. And I want to draw the graph basically. So again, m is 2, the y-intercept is 4. So using those two pieces of information, I plug them in into this equation. So m is 2, y equals 2x, and then b is 4. So I do plus 4. So in this case, using this equation, I can first see that, okay, so I know the y-intercept. It's 4. So I place the 4 right here. Next, I know that it's going to go up by 2. So basically, 1x, for every x, I go up by 2. So now I can draw the opposite as well. So for every negative x, I go down by 2. You guys can kind of see that slope works like this. Yeah. It goes up by 2 and then cross by 1. And then if I go down again, it goes up by 2 and then goes across by 1. So let me put in the points for the rest of this graph. Then let me draw a straight line through all of this. Okay? So basically we can use basically the slope and the y-intercept to create our equation if we don't get the equation from the problem initially. Does that make sense? And again, you can always also do the table as well. If you aren't sure if whatever numbers you plug are correct, you can always plug in values. So say I want to figure out, let's say 1. If I plug in 1 into this equation, I get 6. And you guys can see that this makes sense because the point would be right here, and 5, 6, 6 would be there. Okay. You guys want to do some practice problems then? So let's move on then. Let me put my drawings and here you go. I want you guys to try and solve this equation. Again, you guys can put the slope and the y-intercept into the equation. And afterwards, you can draw it using a table, or you guys can draw it using the method of just using the definition and slope. So just to help you out, a slope of 3 means that it goes up by 3, and then it goes across by 1. So if I started on 0, I'll go this way, basically. This would be my graph.
I'm not finished.
Oh, you finished? Okay. Gonna give you guys a few more minutes. Again, it's not too difficult. Remember, you already know 1 point. So the first point here we know is the y-int. So it's at -2. And now I want you guys to go up by 3 and over by 1 and find the next point. And afterwards do it again, and so on and so forth. Okay? Seems like most of you guys are done, so like this, and yeah. Let me lock your screens, and I really like, oh, okay. Go back. Is that supposed to delete the response? It happens. Okay, let's go with this one. Okay, so I like this student's response because basically what they did is that they first found the point, and let me go my drawings and let me do it. So again, we know that the y-int is equals to -2, so we know the point of our first equation. So the line has to cross at -2 on the y-axis. So it'll be this point right here. And do big circle so you guys can see this. So this is our y-intercept. Now, according to the slope m equals 3, I know that this graph goes up by 3 and over by 1. So this means that I can count, go up 1, 2, 3, and over by 1. Now I get my second point. And then I do this again. I go up 1, 2, 3, over by 1. I get my third point. And afterwards, you guys can draw a line straight through all those points. And that will be your linear equation. Yep, that's fine. Make sure that in slope-intercept form, the b is always the y-intercept, okay? It's never the x, it's always the y-intercept. So you always start with the y, and then you can use the slope to draw multiple points, and then you can draw your linear equation. Okay? Let me clear this. Let's do one more equation. Let's do one more problem. So again, remember, y-int is -3. So you gotta make sure you go on the y-intercept. Well, sorry, the y-axis. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis again. Make sure you find -3 on the graph and put a dot on it. Okay, seems like you guys are done. So let me lock screens and let me show a response that I like. So let me think about this. Let me check this. Ooh, okay. So whoever did this was very close. So let me go ahead and take this. So again, they started on -3, which is the basically y-intercept. They knew that the line's going to cross there, so you can put a point there immediately. Now we have a slope of -2. This means that it's going to go downwards this point. So for every x that increases by like 1, our y is going to decrease by basically 2. So basically a way that I can draw this is that if we start at the origin or 0, 0, my next point would be down here, and the next point would be down here. You guys can kind of visualize this as like a box as well, where I go right 1 and I go down 2. Okay? So in this case, this person was very close. So again, this is the right point because it goes basically right 1, down 2 when x increases by 1. But then the next point should be right here, because then this one be the next 2. And then if I go up and here, this should be the next point, and so on and so forth. So in actuality, this equation, y equals -2x minus 3, does not cross -2. -2 is not an x-axis. And sorry, it's not an x-intercept. And we can test this by setting y equals 0. So when we see this, actually, the x-intercept is -3/2, or x equals -1.1.5. So that actually the x-intercept should be right here, and this makes sense because if I draw a line through all these points that I made, they'll all line up. Yes, you're very close. Just make sure that you always count, you go up by the amount it says, and then if it's negative, you go left because it's decreasing, and if it's positive, you go right. Okay? Cool. Does anyone want more practice, or you guys feel like this is good? Okay. Anyone else want more practice? Okay. So on the same line, basically, I'm gonna make a new equation. So you guys have a slope of, let's say, 2, and a y-intercept of, let's do -1. Okay. So the equation, slope is 2, y-intercept is -1. I want you guys to create the equation using slope intercept form, and then afterwards, I want you guys to draw it on the graph. Okay. Are you guys done? Okay. Seems like that is the case. So let me show a response. Oh, I like this one. Okay. Show this response. So let me do my drawings. So the question I would made basically was that m equals 2 and then b equals -1. So if I put this in the equation, I get y equals 2x minus 1. So this person started at -1, which is great. And then afterwards, they went up by 1, 2. This is the next point. And at 2, they went up 2. And then at 3, they went up 2 more. So basically, the line would be drawn like this. And we can check this by putting let's say, -2 into the equation. So according to the graph, I should get back, I believe, put -2, I should get back 5. It should be -5. So let me test that. Y equals 2, comma, -2 minus 1. And yes, so according to the graph, this is correct. So it should be -5 down here. Okay? Does that make sense? So which way you guys think it's easier? Drawing the table or using the method of just thinking about the slope and then drawing the points using slope? Second method, okay. MT says second method. Anyone else? No? Okay. Personally, I feel like the second method is easier because it's also faster. I don't have to test out every point. And if the slope is easy, like say like 2 or 4, a whole number, I can easily draw that. And it's very simple, very quick. So let me clear this. And since you guys are doing so well paying attention, I have a short video for you guys to watch. Go back. Go here.
You've found the hidden switches, evaded the secret traps, and now your expedition finally stands at the heart of the ancient temple inside the lost city. But as you
Yes.
study the inscriptions in the
Early.
near total darkness, 2 of the 8
like
graduate
5-minute break.
students accompanying you bump into the altar. Suddenly, 2 wisps of green smoke burst forth, and the walls begin to shake. Fleeing for your lives, you come to a room you passed before with 5 hallways, including the one to the altar and the one leading back outside. The giant sand glass in the center is now flowing with less than an hour before it empties, and the rumbling tells you that you don't want to be around when that happens. From what you recall of your way here, it would take about 20 minutes to reach the exit at a fast pace. You know this is the last junction before the exit, but your trail markings have been erased, and no one remembers the way. If 9 of you split up, there should be just enough time for each group to explore one of the 4 halls ahead and report back to this room, with everyone then making a run down the correct path. There's just one problem. The inscriptions told of the altar's curse, the spirits of the city's king and queen possessing intruders and leading them to their doom through deception. Remembering the green smoke, you realize 2 of the students have been cursed. At any time, one or both of them might lie, though they also might tell the truth. You know for sure that the curse didn't get you, but you don't know which students can't be trusted. And because the possessed students may lie only occasionally, there is no guaranteed way to test them to determine which are cursed. Can you figure out a way to ensure that you all escape? Don't worry about the possessed students attacking or otherwise harming the others. This curse only affects their communication.
Okay, so does anyone have a solution? No? Ian, you have a solution, Bowen? Oh, okay. Youngki, you want to type it out?
Yeah, you can ask them if they are like is like a human or not, and if they say no, that means they're lying, and then you could check
But the thing is, like,
been cursed or not.
you don't know if they're lying or not because they could be lying sometimes. So if they say, you basically say, are you human? They can say yes, but sometimes they can also say like, no. So we don't know. If they say no, then of course they're not correct, but sometimes they'll say yes, and you can only find out like 1 or 2.
But
So
there's 50% chance that they'll keep like saying the truth.
well, actually it's not 50 because these are curses. So basically they can lie and they can choose to lie or not lie. So it's not a 50% chance. Okay. You guys want to see the solution? I mean, honestly, that's a great idea. But I think that sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work. And just because of that, I think there will be a better solution. Okay. Okay, Ian. What? Okay, I'm going, wait a minute. Do you have a solution? You can type it out. Remember, there's like 8 total people and there's 4 pathways. And you know that you're not cursed. So I want basically to figure out which the pathway is the entrance. So we can all escape. Okay. Still waiting on you, Ian. Okay. Well, if you're not going to respond, I'm just going to go straight to the solution, okay? Okay, let's do the solution then.
The first thing to realize is that since you know you aren't possessed, you can explore one of the halls alone. This leaves 8 students for the remaining 3 paths. Sending groups of 4 down just 2 of the paths won't work, because if one group came back split 2 versus 2, you'd have to guess who to trust. But splitting them into 1 pair and 2 trios would work every time. And here's why. The possessed students might lie, or they might not. But you know there are only 2 of them, while the other 6 will always tell the truth. When each group returns to the hall, all of its members will either give the same report or argue about whether they found the exit. If a trio returns in total agreement, then you know none of them are lying. With the pair, you can't be sure either way. But all you need is reliable evidence about 3 of the 4 paths. The 4th you can figure out using the process of elimination. Of course, none of this matters if you're lucky enough to find the exit yourself. But otherwise, putting everything together leaves you with 3 possibilities. If each group gives a consistent answer, either everyone is telling the truth or the 2 possessed students are paired together. In either case, ignore the duo. If there's only one group arguing, both others must be telling the truth. And if there are 2 conflicts, then the possessed students are in separate groups, and you can safely trust the majority in both trios, since at least 2 people in each will be truthful. The temple collapses behind you as greenish vapors escape from 2 of the students. You're all safe and free from the curse. After that ordeal, you tell your group they all deserve a vacation, and you just happen to have another expedition coming up.
Okay, cool. Does that make sense? I feel like that was pretty fun. Okay, let's move on then. So we'll be wrapping this lesson up with how to use point slope form. So we learned how to do slope intercept form, but now we're going to use point slope form. And yeah, so basically, why do we use point slope form? Yes. Okay, so we use point slope form, and this is because say if we have only 1 or 2 points, and one of them is not the y-intercept. In this case, we can't use the slope intercept form to basically solve the equation. Instead, we're going to use the point slope form. So you'll be using this form a lot more to create equations, while you'll be using the other one to find out what the equation means. So you guys can see right here that point slope formula line is y minus y1 equals m multiplied by x minus x1. So basically x and y1 is just 1 point on the graph. So using this, we can solve the equation and find basically a graph and make it into a slope intercept form. So for example, let's say that the slope is 4. We have -1 and -5 as a point. So let's first draw that. We have -1 and then -5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. And we have a slope of 4. So again, I can draw this using the points, but an easier way is just using the point slope form. So I put numbers in, so I know that the y value for the point is -5, and then I fill in the slope. After that, I put in the x, and I subtract 1 from it. This is -1. Okay. So I'm going to simplify the equation. I get y equals 5 plus 5 equals 4 x plus 1. Y equals 4x minus 1. And then now I can draw the equation. So I know that the y-int is now at -1. And then afterwards, I can draw the equation like this. And fill in the rest of the points and then draw the line. So we can use point slope form to change it into point intercept, to slope intercept form. And then afterwards, we can change it and then draw it onto the graph. Okay? So let me do another example. So let's say instead we have 1, 3 and 4, 2. So we have 2 points now. Can anyone quickly do the slope for this equation? What is the slope of 1, 3 and 4, 2? Quickly. Okay, well, I finished already. -1/3, Bowen. -1/3. Don't forget that you start with the second points, and then you put in the first points. So we get -1/3. So now we have a slope now. So we can take the slope, take one of the points, which is 1, 3, and make the slope intercept form. Oh, sorry, point slope form. So we put in the slope, and then we have x minus 1. Now we simplify this equation. And in the end, we get an equation that is like this. So now let's draw this out. So we have the y-int. The y-intercept is at 10 over 3. So this would be about a bit more than 3, so about right here. And then we know the points that there is 1, 3 here and 4, 2 here. So now let's draw the line. Oh, 4, 2 plus 4, 1. Let's draw the line. Oh, that's kind of bad. Erase this. Let me try this again. 4, 1. And this would be basically our line. And yeah. So using point slope form, we can easily draw the line if we have 2 points. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So let's move on and let me go to you guys. You guys want to do the challenge problem? You don't have time for both. You know what? Let's do the challenge problem. Okay. So here's a challenge problem. You find an equation that is parallel to y equals 2x and goes through the point 2, 1. I want you guys to solve this in your breakout rooms. And yeah, good luck. Remember, parallel means that they have the same slope. So make sure that whatever equation you come up with has the same slope as y equals 2x. I mean, think about back to the slope intercept form. Okay? So I've opened the rooms and you guys can work together and try and solve the question. Okay, so check groups. So Bowen, Alyssa, Ian, what do you guys get for the question? What was the equation? You guys can type it out. Oh, you're still thinking. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, does anyone have the answers to the question? Yeah, sorry, we ran out of time, so I had to close the break gardens early. Okay. So did anyone get the question? No? Okay.
I don't really understand what this question means.
Okay. So let me first explain it to you guys. Okay. So since this was a challenge question, I didn't expect you guys to know this, but this will be one that this will be like an SAT question. So you'll see this question on the SAT. It's okay.
What is a SNT?
It's a test for high school students to determine if which college do you go to.
Are kidding me?
Mhm. So find the equation that is parallel to y equals 2x. So Ian, do you know what the slope of y equals 2x is?
What did he say?
The slope. What is the slope of y equals 2x? You know? Okay. So the slope of y equals 2x is just 2. So m equals 2. This means that you go up by 2 for every increase x, for every one increase in x, basically. So now we know that the slope is 2. And now we also know that the point is 2, 1. So using these two things, we can plug this into our equation. Y minus 1 equals 2, x minus 2. And afterwards, we get y equals 2x plus 3. And then we can, oh, negative 3. And we can draw this equation. And then we have 2, 1. And then we can draw the second one. Yes, y equals mx. So the equation for basically point slope form is, sorry, not point slope, but slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So in this case, b was just 0. So we know that m was actually 2. Okay? Cool. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. So that's the end of class. Again, if you have any questions, you guys can always email me. And I have the quiz down here. Give me a second, but you guys are free to leave now, okay?
Okay, bye.
My drawings and
Where's the quiz link?
okay, I'll send you guys a quiz link. Again, this will be pretty easy. It's just telling you to solve some quick equations. So let me go back. Here you go. Here's a quiz link. And yeah. Yep.
Hi, is the class on Monday, like for next week, the last class?
Yes, it is last class. Yes, there is class next.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. There's no class next week. There's a class tomorrow. This is the last class. Next class will be review. And again, that'll be the last class. We'll be going over everything that we've learned in the past 8 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be sad to see you guys go. Honestly, I had a lot of fun making these lessons and meeting all you guys.
I'll miss you. Thank you. But I can't, but I'll miss it because I have school.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
I'll miss you too, Lori.
Me too.
Yes, yes, Bowen. Give me a second. Let me go get.
I hope you still have other classes. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Lori. Okay, give me a second. I'm sending the link now. Yes, yes. Do you have an email I can send to you? Okay, let me send this to you. There you go. You can click on that. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow then. Okay. Well. Okay. That'll be all. Okay. Yep. See you tomorrow.